Hello everyone, how's it going? In this video, I'll be talking why, unfortunately, many people remain stuck on the OCD journey. And the main reason for that is the lack of discipline, it's the lack of consistency with the work that needs to be done. Because quite often on coaching calls, people have a clear indication as to what they need to do, as in consistently and regularly breaking down their irrational beliefs, facing their fears with exposures whilst cutting compulsions along the way, trying to adopt and apply unconditional acceptance throughout time, not something that can be rushed, but knowing we have to start going towards unconditional self, life, and other acceptance towards all of our fears. Sorting out our life structure so it's healthier, so it's more adaptable, it's more flexible rather than super rigid, rather than really black and white, rather than procrastinating, rather than being very lazy in our behaviours. So it can be quite a clear path as in what we need to do. Now, of course, you have a doubting disorder. So even when the indication is quite clear and the direction is quite clear in the way we need to go, it can get confusing because you're going to doubt everything. So that is all part of the journey as well. But quite often I see people tell me, and I hear them tell me, that they know what they need to do. They are quite clear in what they need to do. They understand quite well what they need to do. But the missing part is the application. It's the not doing it. And unfortunately, this is why many will remain stuck. And how do I know this? Well, I did this myself. I remember waiting around just for that quick fix. I didn't ever commit myself to the recovery tools. I would say well over a year in, for sure. My first call with Rob was in 2019 in July. And I would say I only started taking recovery seriously, as in actually applying the tools, turning up for regular coaching calls, reading the books thoroughly and not just skimming them over, not putting off exposures, putting pen to actual paper with my disputing, no more avoidance, no more doing it in my head and trying to just wait for relief and hoping to get release from OCD that way. That wasn't going to work. So it took well over a year for me to actually take it seriously. Because what would happen is that I'd come off a coaching call and I would feel very motivated. I'd feel very keen. I'd be very determined to recover and do whatever it took to recover. But then the problem was that as the going got rough and as I would be triggered again and as it got difficult, I would then put on the brakes completely and say, this is way too much. I can't deal with this. I'm not ready for this. Right, this is too overwhelming. It's too much. It's something that's too difficult. I can't do it. And this was when I was breaking down beliefs because I felt like I couldn't do that. It felt wrong breaking down the irrational beliefs because that was my conditioned way of thinking, to think in an irrational way. I felt like doing exposures would be a step too far. I felt like that would be just too much and I'd be crossing the line. I felt like I'd be haunted forever if I did this exposure or I did that exposure, or if I read this article, if I took out some kind of avoidance, whatever the exposure was for the particular fear. And I always just felt, and it will always feel like this one's a step too far, this one's too much, this is the one that crosses the boundary. That's how it's going to feel with exposures. But quite often that one that feels a step too far is the one that often holds the key to unlock the next level in your recovery. That is quite often the case. So I really lacked discipline. I really lacked consistency. I really lacked effort, because looking back now, if I could coach myself and if I could speak to myself when I was 18 and 19, as I was first coming in through the door, I'd say, look, you're not going to get anywhere just half-heartedly in a wishy-washy manner trying to recover from OCD. Look what you're dealing with here, Sam. You are dealing with a chronic disorder that is debilitating in many ways. You're dealing with a very, very challenging anxiety mental health disorder. It isn't going to just budge with a thoughts process. It isn't going to just budge and ease up and release just one day you wake up and it's all gone. I still thought it was like a common cold for ages, thinking that one day I'll get over it, I'll outgrow it. One day it'll just be in the past. No, it was firmly locked on. OCD for me was gripped on thoroughly. There was no relief. There was no respite. There was no relief as in any kind of good feelings. It didn't really feel like that at all because I was so locked on with chronic guilt and shame. Even when I tried to distract myself, it was just there, just pumping away in the background. And everything that I did, it was just, nope, there was like a block there. Because I felt quite distant as well. I felt quite disconnected. So everything that I did, it was like looking through that foggy glazed window, or like that 1,000-yard stare where I was in my head, consumed in my head, in that tormenting, torturous cycle, trying to work things out in the past, trying to block intrusive thoughts, trying to neutralize thoughts and intrusive images, and I was just fighting in my head the whole time and constantly getting to the bottom of things and analyzing and reviewing and rumination. The rumination was exhausting. It really was. It was tiring. I think about it today and I just think, wow, I was completely fatigued by about 9 a.m. in the morning from just non-stop rumination. From the minute I opened my eyes, it was there, boom, no respite, no release, didn't loosen its grip at all. Until I started to actually commit to the work. Because what I was hoping for then was that I was going to either just read this magical sentence or that I was going to just wake up one day and it was gone. I know it sounds crazy me saying this, but when I look back now, I don't even know what I was really waiting for. I was just hoping one day it would just be gone. As in, like the common cold, it gradually goes, the symptoms are high, and then over time it fades. No, there was none of that. But I rather foolishly clung on to that for a long while, because a lot of that was the reluctance to face discomfort and the refusal to go through frustration and the refusal to embark on the journey, because I knew it was going to take a lot of effort. I knew it was going to take a lot of work and persistence and patience, and it was going to require a shit ton of anxiety increasing, and it was going to involve me facing my fears. It was going to involve change. It was going to involve adjustments. It was going to involve tweaking things in my life that wasn't working. And I was scared. I was terrified. I was petrified. I like the Stockholm syndrome. I almost settled for what I was. I was settled for being stuck. I settled for anxiety. I was just managing, getting by. I wasn't really functioning very well, but I was getting by. I was just happy, almost existing, right? And looking back now, it is a crazy thought thinking about it, because that was my life for so long, just existing, waiting one day for OCD just to unlatch. I'd still be waiting now. I would still really be waiting now. So if you are in that situation where you feel like you're really lacking consistency and discipline and effort, and the first bit of advice I've got for you is that you're going to have to just go for it anyway. Don't wait for that just right feeling. Don't wait until you feel comfortable. Don't wait until you feel ready, because you'll never feel ready with OCD, because OCD will make it feel so real and is going to intensify and amplify the feelings that even when you say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, when that tomorrow comes, the symptoms will be high, if not even higher, because OCD knows you're waiting for it, okay? So you're going to have to take the first step, and you often hear me say on coaching calls, hey, you're going to have to take that leap of faith. You're going to have to take that leap. I know it's hard. I'm backing you every step of the way. We all are. But you're going to have to take that leap at some point. Because if you don't, you're trading recovery for staying stuck. And yes, you might be getting by being stuck. You might be functioning to some level. But the reality is you're not really you're not really living, you're just existing. You're not really thriving, you're just alive. You're just getting by, you're just managing the symptoms. And the frustration is that there's much more than that. You don't have to just survive. You don't have to just put up with the setbacks. You don't have to just put up with the odd bad day. And when I say odd bad day, I feel like every day was a bad day for me, but there were days in particular that were incredibly bad and incredibly challenging, where even getting out of bed felt like the most difficult task of the day, let alone go to work and function like a functioning human being. It felt impossible at times, it really did. So don't settle for that. Really try and develop some kind of consistency. Really try and work on things, because when you look at it like this, you are trading long-term peace, long-term recovery, long-term robustness, okay? Long-term flexibility in dealing with problems and just thinking rationally. I'm so thankful for the work that I put in because of where I am today, because it's taught me so much about life, staying calm under quite pressure situations, dealing with things, dealing with all kinds of problems that can be faced, all kinds of challenges that we all have in the world that we're living in, whether that's financial difficulties or health difficulties or political problems, whatever it may be, right? It just gives you that basis to really deal with problems in life in a much more rational, calm and flexible way. So I'm super, super thankful for that. But without even mentioning how recovery from OCD feels, you feel energized, you feel plugged into life, you feel buoyant, you feel up for things, because I lost all that, right? I was numb to that. I lost all motivation, I lost all determination, I lost any kind of enthusiasm and any interest in anything, even the things that I cared about deeply. I lost all that because I was numb, felt so shit. I wasn't numb with feelings, it was just chronic guilt and shame. So don't trade that. Don't put that in the bin just because you don't want to face a bit of discomfort now. I know it's hard. I know it really is, but please don't chuck all that away. Don't turn your nose up at that opportunity because you might have to face some discomfort and develop some consistency and discipline. A good way of looking at this is think what somebody would do to be in your position. Think of somebody that's sadly already dead, or somebody that lived 50 years ago or 100 years ago, a lot longer than that. What they have done to be in your position right now, just watching this video. I don't mean to blow my own trumpet, but what they've been done to be, what they do or have done to be watching this video right now, hearing somebody talk about OCD and all the sort of nuances and the intricacies as we cover on the channel in one-to-one calls. I mean, they've done anything for that. And when I was stuck, I'd have done anything for these videos. When I was sort of 16, 17, 18, as OCD was getting quite severe for me, I'd done anything to get help and just understand, because I felt so alone. I felt so hopeless. I really, really did, until I came across Rob's channel and then things started to change. So don't turn your nose up at that. Don't back away from that. It's a real shame, and I get it. I understand it. I understand how hard it is. And when we talk about these things on coaching calls, we tend to really, we have that relatability. We have that personal approach because we have OCD ourselves. So by no means am I saying, yeah, just do it. Who gives a crap? You feel nothing. No, I completely get the reluctancy from you. And I understand that because I was that myself, as I've already explained. I was very scared to take the first step and jump into the deep end, if you wish. I was scared to do that. But then once I realized what I was trading by not taking that first step and by not taking that leap of faith, and then doors started opening, and then I started to realize what I was doing with my avoidance, when I was clinging on to my compulsive behaviors, when I wasn't wanting to change my beliefs, when I was terrified to even look at my beliefs in a different way and even try and be slightly flexible with my perception on my worst case scenario. As I wasn't even looking at that, the door was shut. The recovery door was firmly slammed shut. So until I actually started to develop some consistency and discipline with the tools that I was learning, then the doors gradually began to open. Many times it shut again, yeah, obviously, and then I'd open it again, it's shut, because it's a very challenging journey and it's not linear at all, and it's very bumpy. It's an emotional roller coaster. 1 minute you're up, 1 minute you're down, then it feels like you're down for a little while, then it feels like you've nailed it, and false stall, and you come back down again. It's all part of that. But over time, it's the upward trajectory to get to a place of recovery, to get to a place of robust mental health recovery and anxiety and OCD recovery. So that's what we're striving towards, but please don't chuck all that away in the first instance. Please don't think this is too difficult. I can't be bothered. I'm not doing this. Fuck this. I'm just going to settle for what I've got. It's a real shame hearing that. It's a real shame. So give it your all. You can recover. You really, really can. We're the proof of that, all of us on this channel. Many people as well that are on the channel doing excellently well and recovered. So it is possible. It really, really is. Please don't just think it's not going to happen to you. You're going to have to work so hard for it, of course, but don't raw yourself out. Give yourself a fighting chance. Give yourself the best possible chance to recover. As soon as you start saying this is too much, I'm not doing it, I can't be bothered, then you shut the door. And then unfortunately, you remain stuck, which I know nobody wants to do, but it's no point just sat there saying, I want to get better, but then not putting it into action, not putting it into practice. I see it all too often. I talk from lived and personal experience because I did that myself. I would be talking the talk really well. I'd be saying, yeah, I want to recover. Yeah, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to be super robust. I want to be super rational. I want to accept myself unconditionally. What was I doing about it? Fuck all. Okay, until about a year in, then things started to change. Then I realised that I wasn't going to get to recovery with a half-hearted, wishy-washy approach. You got to commit, you got to go all in, and you got to give it your all. There's hope, and you can get better. It is possible, even when it doesn't feel possible. There is hope, even when you feel hopeless. There is a way forward. We just have to take the first step today. And if you're watching this video and you're on the journey and you've come in for coaching calls, we've got to remain consistent and disciplined. Don't only show up when the going gets tough. Don't only run to the notepad and the disputing when it gets difficult. Don't wait until that crisis to then think, shit, I should put in the work. We want to be consistent regardless. Recovery awaits. Freedom awaits. Robust mindsets towards life, that awaits. You won't get there by just half-heartedly going for it. Can have to take some leaps at times, some real jumps, some real strides on the recovery journey. But that will only happen when we start backing it up with belief change and behavioural change and not just wishing for it. If you are interested in one-to-one calls, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com and you can get in touch with me, Sam, Rob, Nick, Momin, Gemma and Elliot, and we can book you in on our busy schedules as soon as we possibly can, because it would be great to see you and it would be great to get the recovery ball rolling and take that first leap of faith towards recovery, because that is what it's going to take. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Look after yourself. Have a great day and we'll speak again. Bye-bye.